questions answered in terms of the roundabout. So at this time, I'd like to call for questions that are not related to the roundabout or traffic. Seeing none,
Good evening, my name is Farhadin Tula. My family owns Moore's Pizzeria since 1990, and I had some concerns about what you just said not to ask about, but also the other point is they were giving stats and figures about once they built these buildings, about more people coming in and being in town, and I think several businesses, they said that they're gonna possibly get increased business. And then another member mentioned that there's gonna be, not everyone will show up to work. Like there are consultants, they work from home. So just to see how that affects the total figures. Because as you guys were referring to walking wallets, when there's no show employees, is that gonna actually help other businesses and improve the town? Because I don't know how many companies are going to be there and how will that actually help the town?
I was asking the attorney for the developer, when we were first having discussions with the first tenant, who's has an LOI on that first building, they said something like it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in catering every year that go into that building. So there's be a lot of pizzas, probably people will be eating into there. So yes, if there's a percentage of people that don't show up, but if it's hundreds of people that will be showing up every day, it's still a significant customer base.
I understand that point, but it's just, I think people should have a clear understanding. Like the Sterling Tavern, he was expecting his business to possibly be increased, but as you said with catering, if he doesn't cater, if he's expecting people to come up at the end of the day to his bar or his restaurant, and if they're not there, they're in another town helping their other towns. We just have to kind of have that in our ideas. I had other points about, or we can't discuss those now, but
well, how specific was it to the roundabout?
I guess this doesn't refer to the roundabout. This refers, this other point is with, they said that no one is going to get a bad view, as they did with the headquarters plaza. But the Spring Hills nursing home, they'll get the back view of that. I mean, I've been up there because I've delivered, and from their street, from their level, you could see over our shopping, or over our plaza. So if you're adding whatever it is, 5, 6, 7 stories, even 8, they're not going to be able to see that view. Some people were stating that that they have some kind of view now, but if that building is there, they will not. I mean, you guys, there were some pictures that you showed from other views, but if I think people see, their view will be impeded. They will get that back view that you showed of headquarters plaza from the Spring Street. The Spring Hills will get that, and I don't know how much you want to think about them, but they're also here and living in Morristown. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there are no other members wishing to be heard tonight at this time. I'd like to close the public portion of our meeting and turn it over to council members for any questions, concerns, anything that you might want to question.
I'll start. So this is for Bill and I guess administration. We have a town traffic engineer, and you mentioned that person is here tonight. Who is that?
That's Brian Coughlin.
Hi, Brian. And for the benefit of the public, so are you work for the town, or are you a consultant for, I'd just like to know.
Sure. I'm a consultant. I work for traffic planning and design.
Traffic planning and design, so that's.
But you're engaged by the town. But I'm engaged by the town.
Okay, so you're representing the town?
Correct.
Okay, so are you the one that worked on the traffic study that is being referenced tonight?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, okay. So.
Did you say you did not?
I did not. Correct.
So who prepared the traffic study?
That was our, why don't you explain it?
Sure, that was
Change consultant.
That was Eric. That was another consulting firm that was selected through an RFP process to complete that townwide traffic study. We were not involved in that.
Name of that firm?
ARA, ARDP, but at the end of that process, we did a very comprehensive handoff to Brian with all the data, with all the, and he, interviewed them and got all the information.
So I do have the findings from that study.
Okay, could you share those findings with the council?
I'll have to check with the administration to see, the finality of that information and what should be presented and the outcome of that and how the best way to provide that to the council would be.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know we met with the planner and we went through a very high level of the traffic study, but we didn't get like an executive summary. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I don't recall getting something.
Yeah,
Is it possible we could get
Councilwoman,
something?
we can, so we provided the council the data and all that underlied the study to you with that thing that you said that was voluminous. We provided presentations here for you at council on different occasions that spoke to kind of what the major findings were. We can, if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk to you offline about kind of intersection by intersection, what some of the issues were and what the proposals were. And be happy to go through that with you. So
I know we sat and we went through it, but I don't recall ever receiving any hard copies of
the one that you said that was too heavy or something?
But we never got, I don't believe we got the actual data and the findings and all of that. I know we had a meeting and.
Right, so I think that I just need a guy doing it in this context might not be the most productive
That's
for you.
fine.
I'm
I'd
happy
like
to
to
sit down with you. I just think that kind of managing expectations in terms of like, it wasn't a report. This is creating a traffic signal model for the entire town, which is essentially it. You saw what those animations look like. What you have was the data that went into those animations and or that underlied those animations. So we can go through again, intersection by intersection, tons of recommendations that were being made at each intersection, which I think was actually what you want.
Actually, what I'm looking for is some direction from the council, because I know when we talked about it, we talked about integrating this data with the decision-making for all the different boards. And I know I've had conversations with other council members about this, and I just think it's really important as we move forward with this, with projects like this, because we don't, obviously, we want to move forward, but we want to make sure we do what the council has discussed, which I believe is making sure that the study and the data and the conclusions and the findings are integrated with other town decision-making and other boards. So I don't know, Council President, if you want to add it as an agenda item or if you want to just talk offline with the other council members, but we can do that, that's fine. My other question is about parking. I understand the public's view that there's a number of spots. I don't know if 500 was the number that was used, but that's free parking, and it does provide a...
It's not free, I mean, it's customer parking.
It's customer retail parking, but it's rare in Morristown, and residents do have the convenience of driving up there and getting a slice of pizza. And as someone mentioned, they're not going to spend $5 to park, they're going to spend $5 to get a slice of pizza. So I hear what you're saying, and while we talk and we diminish the impacts of surface parking, it still does have some benefits. And I just don't think we should minimize those benefits. I think we have to figure out a way to all work and all exist, whatever the new parking model is, and not to just dismiss it to the planning board or the zoning board or, another board that's going to hear it. I think, that's something that's going to be lost, and we will just have to figure out how it's going to be gained. The other note I brought up was about just the traffic model and the statistical significance of the different routes that were mentioned. I think that the level of data and the graphs and it's superb. It's an amazing presentation. So thank you for that. I just would like to see some footnotes as to how these conclusions were how they were found. I don't feel the answers about the traffic and the level of statistical significance of the answers are valid enough for me. I'd like to know more about how those conclusions were obtained. The Wilmot being one way, have we notified the businesses on Wilmot that that's going to be one way?
So I know that the main business here has been coming to these, and we've had conversations with them.
Okay.
That may be something, and is likely going to be something that happens with or without this project.
Okay, so have those businesses been notified?
That business is aware. Dunkin' Donuts is aware.
Okay, what about the 5 or 6 businesses?
So that's the other Wilmot, or like Wilmot Walk. That's actually not even a street. It's a public. It's a right of way.
Okay.
So that wouldn't be affected by this. The leg of this roundabout here, the enter in only, is the one that goes past Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
And would go ultimately into what would be like a 700 plus car parking deck.
Okay, so they've been notified and
They're aware.
And they're aware.
They were at the first of these meetings.
Okay. That's all for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. It's a big project. There's a lot of change in the town. And don't get frustrated, because you guys are doing a good job bringing it through the process. And everybody's very, very appreciative of the time. But as I think everybody's going to say, and what you heard today, we still have some questions, we still have some concerns. Not that things can't be worked out. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but we are going to have some other questions, i.e. the illuminated walks, how do they work? We all know how busy that intersection is, particularly for pedestrians. It's very rarely I go to that intersection, and I'm through it at least once a day, is that how much pedestrian traffic that intersection gets, and the whole concept of bike transport. And these are the kind of things that we just have to hear more about. So if you got somebody going into that pedestrian walkway every couple of minutes, what's the effect is that going to have on the traffic? Because that's also going to be stopping traffic, not just the cars, like the computer simulation coming around, turning around, and what have you. That being said, I think I have to say, you guys listened at the public meeting very, very well. I made a list for about 10 or 12 issues that were raised, and you really did a good job of touching on every single one of them. Every single one of them. And I think, do they still need more work? They do need more work. And I can share or summarize what I'm hearing from the community also on those comments. But a few things. Just one fact I want to clarify. What is the percentage of the 382,000 square feet that Deloitte is taking, or thinks they might take? What's the percentage of the total space?
Theirs is about
Just the one stack.
It was like 120 or something of that nature.
So they're
120.
taking approximately,
A third.
probably about 25 to 28%. Okay.
That was fast than I could.
So I think that's
And it's the first building.
It's the first building that will
The
be.
first 6-story building.
Okay. I think what we're working through here, and it's going to be a process, is the combination. It's the density that's being asked for this project. Okay, and what we're hearing here is that density is in exchange for what? Okay, improvement to the traffic. Is it improvement to the traffic? The roundabout, is the roundabout. And the roundabout, to be honest with you, sounds better and better to me when I hear about it. But now what you heard today is what are the traffic impacts in the greater town. I'll come back to that point. But it is the cost of the improvements, the trade-off of the cost improvements, the densities in exchange for what. Because again, similar to what John Niclasino was mentioning in the prior comment, is, density is a factor of sales price. It's a money issue. And it's a money issue that we should be very wary of always, ever considering as part of any of our decisions. Okay? It's really the zoning, it's really the benefits, it's really the health of the town and the safety of the town that we have to stay concerned with. So I think, when you look at that function of density, financing, taxes, improvements, that function, there's going to be more discussion. I think there should be some more open discussion on that topic. The second topic you really have is what we were saying about traffic. I encourage you to go back to the meeting that we had when we authorized the retention for the traffic study, the spending of that money. I think we were all very, very clear as to what the expectations was, both administration and the council. I don't know if we really have fulfilled what was supposed to be included and what was supposed to be discussed in that traffic study. I think it's something we just don't go back and look at the minutes. This is one where we go back and look at the film. Okay, we outline what was the expectations, because we were pretty clear as to what the expectation of what we should be getting back with that traffic study. And I think what you're also hearing here is that when we talk about traffic, you're talking about traffic from the green over to 287. You're talking about a pretty broad area that we have to look at as part of this project. And I think you've made a lot of good discussion on the roundabout, but I think it's also time that we got off the roundabout and let's start looking at the other areas of the traffic. If we did analyze 11 to 14 other intersections, let's hear about those 11 to 12 other intersections. Third point is I thank Tom Ross for being here this afternoon. Again, the issue there is we have a great town and connectivity that I think the administration has created in terms of the grants that we have gotten for Patriots Paths, the other connections we've done with Stefan and the administration's efforts on bikes. I think it's great. I think what all development also offers the opportunity for us to do is actually continue that effort. And so when you're looking at development, it doesn't have to be a path going through the woods. It could be that what you may be creating in terms of that pedestrian walkway along Morris Avenue. That may be what enhances and creates that connectivity with those other pathways, which also will start highlighting even more. And I'm fearful that we're starting to lose a little bit of it, but is that historical, critical part in our history that is such a valuable asset to our town and actually a valuable asset to our country. And then the last point that I want to bring up today, and we don't have to repeat everybody else's points and everybody else's concerns, and we have more than we're talking about here, is the retail affordability. A project, if you're going to do a project, retail is going to be impacted. There's some things you can do and some things you can't do. But maybe not as part necessarily of this application, maybe not as part of this application, but maybe as part of us stepping back and maybe forming a subcommittee or forming a group of maybe people even more intelligent than some of us, okay? And try to figure out what accommodations should we be making for affordable retail. We're always talking about affordability of housing. I think this town has it done. And again, with the mayor's leadership and I think administration's leadership, we've done a better job than most municipalities, if not all the municipalities in Morris County when it comes to housing. But should there be a discussion amongst ourselves, affordability of retail? Not just affordability of retail to the landlord, to the tenants that are actually holding businesses, but the affordability of the retail for the people who need to use those stores for local needs. I'll stop there. But those are kind of like the four themes I think we're starting to see, and I think we're going to have some very successful conversation going forward.
Thank you, Bob. Councilman Armington, would you like to address?
Yes, that works. that all the comments stated before have been beneficial. I think we need to look at the what we're actually approving, which is the redevelopment plan and not the redevelopment agreement. The plan per se has, frankly, little to do with the developer. However, in practicality, it is a product of the negotiations, the prior negotiations between the administration and the developer as to what is palatable. So I think that the redevelopment plan as it is presented is a good plan. I'm happy that the developer has agreed to reduce the
Councilman? Did we lose you? Are you in a dead zone? Okay, we
You said the
may,
height, you reduced the height.
we heard it right. All right, until we can get Councilman Armington back on the line, I'll move on to Councilman Silver.
Yes, it's a great project. It's a project that is going to bring a big change to our beautiful town. It's a very good project, and it will bring impact to many people, and to many people it will affect them in some way. There is no progress and growth without pains. I commend the team for addressing the question and issues presented by residents in previous meetings. It's good, which means that they need to continue in the process to address the question and issues presented today. I just want to point out only to two. One is the pedestrian crossing, very important, more clarity on that. And the revisiting of the business owners that currently are there. Because something was said here, and then one of the owners came and said something else, and I think that's very important to be considered with them, and to revisit them and talk to them, and really point them out to solutions or things that will help them out in this process. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman Silver. Do we have you back?
Are you back?
Yeah.
All right, so
Are you still traveling? Are you in your camper?
I'm in Denver.
Well, we really appreciate you calling in from Memphis and listening to this 3.5-hour meeting, so we'll let you have the floor.
My wife appreciates it too. So I guess what I wanted to say is that we're, as I understand, we're voting on the approval of the redevelopment plan. That is not the redevelopment agreement. And the process as it unfolds, that is, the redevelopment plan gets approved, and then it goes to the planning board, ideally, to hash out the devil in the details, which is the traffic analysis, which would presumably show whether or not the developer is committed to building the so-called traffic circle with all the pedestrian and bicycle improvements that are required to meet or exceed the existing pedestrian and bicycle level service, in addition to the traffic level service, which has been suggested would improve traffic by 22%. And I think that unfortunately cannot happen until we move it past the approval of the redevelopment plan. So while I understand my council colleagues' concerns about not encouraging support until those levels of confidence have been supported. It's sort of a chicken before the egg. You know, I don't know if there's an opportunity for the developer to basically go to the planning board and get their approval before the council approves the redevelopment plan. Typically, that is not what has happened in the past. So I defer to the planning division and the development attorneys as to whether or not we can require that. So I guess that's all I have to say at this point. So.
Would administration like to address?
I mean, procedurally, in order to get to the planning board for site plan approval, the redevelopment plan has to be in place because the redevelopment plan serves as the zoning for the property. So in order for, again, for the developer or redeveloper to get to the planning board for site plan approval, they have to do so pursuant to the redevelopment plan. The planning board will have an opportunity to vet this project, however, in the rezoning or redevelopment plan implementation process, because once the redevelopment plan is introduced, it then gets referred to the planning board. The planning board reviews the redevelopment plan for master plan consistency and has the ability to make whatever comments and provide whatever input that it seeks to do with respect to the plan. So the planning board clearly gets an opportunity to vet the project before it goes back to the council for public hearing and adoption. And then, of course, it goes back to the planning board for a separate site plan application where a lot of the more detailed information is worked on.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to just add, first of all, thank you all for coming out and sitting through the redevelopment meeting, and thank you and Frank and Matt and team, Deloitte, for all the work that you guys have done thus far. The first public session was a very grueling session for you all, and so I'd like to commend you for taking the comments and concerns of the public and trying to invigorate them into the new presentation tonight. I don't want to really talk too much about traffic because I think you all get the gist that we still need more clarity, and there's still more concerns not only from council members but members of the public who don't really see how the traffic improvement is much of a benefit. But I would like to speak to the retail side. It was different to hear the owner from Batty's come up and express his bittersweet sentiments about the business that he built thus far and give support for the project, and then to hear some of the other business owners, or not business owners, retailers that actually occupy the space at the shopping strip. So I echo the sentiments of Councilman Ironcone and Councilman Silva that it would be nice if something could be worked out, because it was a little conflicting to hear that all of the retailers were met with and things were being worked out, and now it seems like maybe not. But trying to do something, and not like, I don't know, as Councilman Ironcone said, if it's something that can be done at this level in terms of the stages of development, but it would be nice to try to do something in future projects when we talk about development and bringing in retail at the same time, to be able to keep retail at least some percentage or square footage of affordable retail for owners that have actually built a career here in our town, have dedicatedly served all walks of life. You don't just have one genre or one ethnicity visiting these businesses. I mean, you have people that are making six figures that visit these businesses that like hot wings on Sundays for football Sunday, or club you because they enjoy tacos, or pizzeria. So it would be nice to not just see those merchants just go away because they can't afford high retail rents in Morristown. So I think maybe that should be something that should be considered going forward. And I mean, I do encourage you guys to try to do something that would best benefit the retail of the residents that frequent those places. Because I am a frequent visitor and I do it more often than you, I ain't calling. I'm there 2 or 3 times a day. So 7 days a week, by that. So, and then to the gentleman's comment about losing not only the character, but the people that will engage, even with the public output. I mean, we do want to, don't want to push people out and make people feel like, it's not a space for them. We want the people that frequent the strip today, to still feel like they're a part of, what the public benefit would be. So we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. We want, everybody to feel welcome and it be an inviting space for all walks of life. That's my comment for this evening. Any more comments from council members? All right, so I don't know where we just.
What are we doing next, Councilman?
That's what I was just about to say, so.
Morris Street?
No, we did Morris Street.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You voted on it first.
We did.
We were talking about the resolution. Okay.
Yeah, we.
I was sitting here and had a vote on it.
You voted yes.
But I do want to bring out 3 points on it, yeah? Okay, I want to bring up 3 points. On the developers agreement, a couple of things. One of the things that was discussed there, and the town did a job of trying to make sure that we actually had access to that site from Leona Drive. And right now, it's just prohibited for various reasons, as you often have when you have 2 sides of negotiation. So the project now is a right turn, right in, right out. And that was a change in the plan that we had adopted at a previous meeting. And it was clearly represented. I reviewed the plan with Phil. The only change in the plan was actually that aspect of the plan that was approved. Everything else remained identically exactly the same. I do have a concern, but I think it's a concern for the planning board, which is the streetscape and maybe the front dimensions of the building where those open plazas were being created. My read of the preliminary plans that the developer had proposed, it was very good in terms of providing us with a copy of it before the developer's agreement went into effect. Did not necessarily, in my view, and I just have to confirm this, had the open space or what I'll call the definition of the building to minimize the impact on Morris Avenue from a pedestrian standpoint. But I think that's an issue that can be addressed by the planning board. Stefan and the mayor are at the planning board. They'll make sure that that gets done. And I do know that the mayor and Phil are both extremely conscious of materials that are used and the consistency with the materials that are used on projects. And the last point on that is we did take a step, a little bit different, John, where we did adopt the developer's agreement prior to it going to the planning board. But it does not...
Developers agreement, not the redevelopment.
Okay. But it does not mean that the planning board cannot be recommending changes and making changes. Because again, the planning board gives great input. They have a lot of experience in this. They have a lot of experience in reviewing these plans. If there are changes to the agreement that we adopted based on what the planning board might have in terms of input, we should just make sure, we will make sure that we incorporate that later on, if possible, to get to the agreement. Okay? Thank you. I'm sorry.
You were so anxious to hear.
Morristown.